I guess you could say our product is the process, because what we're essentially coming up with is a interdisciplinary, cross-disciplinary class that then all these different people can come together and then learn about engineering and learn about math and learn about design and learn about all of this through making beer, making equipment, and then making beer together.
One of my goals as a math instructor is to really tie math to something real-world problem. There are mathematicians, and I love them, whose job it is to sit and think and stare into space and write equations down, and that's their gig, and that's awesome. And that's not me. Like, what inspires me is using math to answer a question. And that's something that as an undergraduate student you don't have the opportunity to do very often. So I want to find a way to give that opportunity to students, and this seemed like, okay, you should consider working with me because I'm going to study beer. And if I float that out there, then a couple of them were like, I want in on that. I want to be a part of that.
The thing is about math, and the way that you describe how math is useful, that's how design is useful. Design is, hey, there's a problem, and let's try to come up with a solution. And so that's the way you use math, and design fits into that perfectly. So then throughout the process, we've been able to see, like, oh, it's not the same process. Mathematicians take a different process than designers, and that's actually been pretty cool. One of the interesting things about everybody coming together to build something in an interdisciplinary fashion has helped them understand other fields, essentially. You know, so they can't just be in their own little field. They have to be able to understand the entire broad context of how you build a machine and how beer making works.
One of the best parts of working on this project is that we've been able to come here to Make Haven, which is a maker space in New Haven. And so Make Haven is a place where people come together who like to tinker and like to make things and build things. We're talking about, you know, trying to come up with the mathematics size of how does yeast work with sugar, work with, you know, making ethanol, and they're like, oh, you know, it's so great, there's a biochemist over there, you should go talk to the biochemist. Or, you know, if we're trying to weld something and there's somebody who does that, we needed to build a table, so, oh great, we have a carpenter who does that. So in 8 million ways, this space has been so amazing to be a part of.
The building is really partially the most fun because so you can get so many people involved. There's so many different skill sets that you might need to be able to put something together. There's microcontroller work, there's engineering and manufacturing, there's materials work, there's soldering and welding and wiring and building, and it's an effort that you can make with a group, and people get to learn, and the community aspect of it is really interesting. In addition to that, making good beer, real beer, not just possibly a good beer after several tries and getting, you know, and perfecting your methods. Really, the first time a good, consistent beer, a professional brewer quality beer, and it opens up the potential for anybody, any member or a person involved, to be able to use the device and experiment.
I think anything that brings people together and you know, makes them think about other aspects of their, you know, other aspects.
Also, how can these people use what they've learned in school, how they can use their own profession in a really unique way to make something new, to inform a different profession. It is kind of a constant struggle to make sure that everybody is working together and not just going off and trying to work parallel and do things side by side, because one of the things that I find is that, as you know, all the design people, they know how each other thinks, they understand that, and then the math people all know how each other thinks, they understand that, and it's like sometimes people don't want to bust out of their own little cocoons necessarily, and so it's this constant like, okay, no wait, we have to kind of try to work on this together. But the whole process, I think, has been one big, huge surprise after another. We're always being thrown for loops.
I think anytime you're trying to put together anything of this magnitude, who knows what's going to happen.